At the beginning of lockdown, I was doing Facebook Lives. One of the dishes that I did was I made a kung pao with Brussels sprouts. It's a top dish, and ever since I've always got messages like, where's that video? So let's just get straight into it and I'll show you how it's done. So the first thing we're gonna do is cook off our Brussels sprouts. So fire up the pan. So normally I would use, or traditionally, it's always gonna have nuts, either peanuts or you funk it up and put cashew nuts in it. Today I'm going to use sesame seeds, but I'm still going to use peanut oil. So it doesn't really matter what oil you use, but I've got this one, so I might as well use it. So a bit of oil in, and then we can just get the Brussels in and then just shake them out so they're all not piled on top of each other and just sitting nicely on the bottom of the pan. So if there's a few on top, it doesn't matter. Afterwards you can just mix it about and it will be fine. So while they're cooking away, we can get those started. We can make up the dressing, which is then gonna glaze those Brussels just to finish it off. So we're gonna cook them through, get a nice bit of color on there, and then the dressing goes in the last seconds just to give it a really nice glaze. So this is a really, really quick dish. So I've got a bit of ginger. Just gonna use half of this. Just chop it as fine as you can. If you want to, you could also just grate it on either a microplane or a grater, and that will work just as well. So ginger, really fine amount of garlic, and also some chili paste. So it's pretty much even amounts of the three of them. So that's all you need. Just grab a bowl, that can go in, and then vinegar. So you're going to pour in about 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, and then maple syrup, the same amount of, and also the same amount of soy sauce. And what that's going to do then is you're going to have the sweetness cutting through, or the vinegar is then like cutting through the sweetness. So you can get a really nice balance, and then the soy sauce is going to give it that salt seasoning. So just give these a shake. They're starting to colour now, so they're looking good. I've got my spring onions, so you can just cut those into pieces, and then I've got some really well washed coriander that we can just trim up, and don't need all of that actually, just use that small amount just to throw in at the very end. So just make sure that's really well washed, even soak it, just get a big pot of water, stick it in so the roots are facing up, and then all that grit that's locked up inside there, it can just sink to the bottom. So I have a fear of coriander. So my very first job making tuna burgers, I didn't clean the coriander well enough, and it ended up being a very expensive trip to the dentist. So really make sure that you wash that coriander really, really well. So this then, just got some chopped bits of greens. They can also go in at the very, very end. And then that is it. We're just waiting for those to cook through, because once you add this mixture, it is literally turning off the heat. Because of the sugar content in there, you don't want to be cooking it. It's literally, once it goes in, the heat of the pan is literally going to make it all evaporate, and that's then going to create that caramelization, so you're going to get a really, really nice color on those Brussels sprouts. So let's give them a toss again. And also notice with these Brussels, what I did is, just to make sure that they cook well, is I just cut them through the root there. So the smaller bit it is, the quicker it's going to cook. So it's just making sure that you're getting a nice cook, and you're not going to have the top part where the leaves are. That's going to be really, really soft, and then you get to the root and it's like a solid crunch to get through. You still want a bite to them, but you don't want it to be inconsistent where half of it's like overcooked and the other half is undercooked. So by scoring it through there, you just get an even cook. And they're getting a really, really nice colour on. So I do love that char on my vegetables. So they're looking good. And you can see that they've now shrunk down, so they're all hitting the bottom of the pan. They're not quite there yet, so I want to add some liquid because they've got enough colour on. So I'm going to use Shaoxing, which is always in a Kung Pao. So I'm going to add a little bit of that. And this is just to, probably a good shot and a half in there, just creating some steam. That will take the heat of the pan down so they stop colouring, and then they're almost, the cooking method then has changed because you've gone from frying into steaming. So we're going to cook that down until it's dry. That will pretty much get them to the point that they need to be. And there's no liquid in the pan now. So we can just go in with these. That's cooking down nicely. And then sprinkle over some sesame seeds, or you can add your peanuts or cashews, whatever nut you decide to use. And then in with my spring onions. Just going to cook those for a second. And then we're just like cooking that down, so those sugars that are in the maple syrup are then just going to glaze those Brussels sprouts just to make them look super delicious, and give that balance of, you know, the vinegar, the salt, the sugars, just makes it for a cracking dish. And then you've got the crunch from the nuts or the seeds, so it's just a winning combo. I've got the chili paste in there, but if you're into your chili, you can just, a few slices of chili, can throw those in there. And then we can turn the heat off. Can go in with most of our coriander, and the rest of it we can just garnish on top. So we can fold that in, and then in with the rondelles of spring onion. Grab our bowl. That's it. And then that is it. Just straight into the serving dish. Bit more chili just to give it that pop. A bit more coriander. And we just sprinkle over a few more of those sesame seeds. That is it. Minutes to prepare, super tasty, hits all the balance of the flavors. Spice, crunch, pretty much got it all. So give it a go. It's a very, very quick and tasty dish to prepare. And super great with so many different things. So, or even I've just made it and had a bowl of Brussels for a snack or a lunch. If you like this video, hit the bell, hit the subscribe. Love to see you again. And man, if you do make these, then comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy cooking.